Samantha Show. I'm your host, Samantha. You can call me Sam. Just don't call me fill in the blank. Sammy. That's right. Sammy. Yeah. Just don't call me Sammy. Welcome back to the Samantha Show. Today I'm following up with kind of a part 2 from the conversation that my friend Melissa and I had on last week's episode. So if you didn't listen to last week's episode, I would recommend going back and watching it. Maybe that's me, like my shameless self-plug there. But maybe you go back, you check it out, see what we were talking about. But we were talking about obsessing over losing weight, especially like the last 10 pounds, and losing weight when we're already really in a healthy state, and just this idea of like, are we ever satisfied? But I wanted to follow up that conversation because I want to make sure that it's really clear that I truly believe in health and wellness. I believe in exercise. I believe in healthy eating as much as we can. I believe in health as a whole and what that looks like. And so I wanted to kind of continue that conversation, not only sharing what I think creates like a really healthy balance in our life, but even kind of my own experience and tips and tricks to where I feel like I've been able to, over the years, start to find a more healthy balance in all aspects. And that includes exercise, and it includes eating well, but it includes mental wellness, it includes social wellness, and all these other pieces. So just kind of breaking that down. I do want to add in my little disclosure that I am not a medical professional. I am working on my NASM CPT certification. So, I can have that to brag about in, 4 to 5 months. But, I work in fitness. I do, I live with type 1 diabetes. So I have a lot of experience, but as always consult a professional doctor if you're starting any new kind of fitness program or regimen. There's my disclosure. There's my CYA on myself, But before we get into that piece of the conversation, you know how we do this. We kick it off with the 3 things you need to know. These are some important things that you need to know. I think it's always important, right? The first thing you need to know, it's time to clean your emotional support water bottle. Okay. I know that it's just water that you're putting in it, but you got to clean it. Okay. And I know that we don't always put it in the dishwasher because maybe it'll melt, or maybe you have stickers on it. If you're like me, you decorate it, but we still have to clean it. And yes, a rinse is good, but no, I'm talking, get a brush set off Amazon for $10 and make sure you're cleaning the emotional support water bottle, especially if you're lugging around sucking water out of it all day long. There's bacteria, there's stuff that gets in there, even water in itself. And, maybe I haven't always been the best myself about it. That's what made me think of this. But we got to be cleaning out those water bottles. So if it's been a while since you've cleaned out that water bottle, you're probably sipping it right now, looking down at it when was the last time I cleaned this? Yeah, it's time. It's time for you to clean that. Get a brush set. You need a brush set too. Get them off Amazon. They have tons of options, super cheap. The second thing you need to know. Okay, so you may remember way episodes ago, I shared with you guys that I had experienced SVT, supraventricular tachycardia, if I pronounce that correctly. Basically, my heart rate tripped up and got stuck at 270. So my heart rate was beating at 270. For comparison, when I work out, I'm usually around 160. When I really start to max effort, 170, maybe 180, but it jumped up to 270 one time. I was teaching class at Cycle Bar. I had to jump off the bike, went out, had to call 911. They had to give me this drug that basically stops the heart for 2 seconds and restarts it. So then it can just kind of kick out of this circuit that it's gotten into. So I was sitting at 270. And every time I talk to a doctor that is not a cardiologist, so all my other doctors, because I got a list of them, yay me, or nurses, they're holy cow, that's so high. And it is, right? That's really high. Listen to this though. This is what you need to know. So my doctor's explaining to me what happened. I basically have this open circuit in my heart, and there are options. I'm not getting into my medical procedures and things that we need to have done. But I thought this was really interesting to me. My doctor told me, so 270 is the high end of how this can happen. But for some people, it can get stuck at 400 beats per minute. Holy macaroni. Like this like open circuit that is like happening in my heart. People have this like in a certain different kind of way, and the heart rate can get stuck, like the beats can get stuck at 400. That's madness. Like I can only say like my heart rate at 270 getting stuck there, and like no matter how calm I got, like it not coming down was like a crazy scary sensation feeling as is. I can't even fathom 400. But that's what you need to know. Like that can not, it's not going to like happen to you. Like it happens to people who like have this thing going on. So you don't have to worry about yours doing that. But I'm just saying, like, isn't that crazy? 400 beats per minute. That's wild. Anyway, that's what you need to know. The third thing that you need to know, Osiris Rex is back on Earth. Okay. Remember too, I told you things you need to know. B told us this when I did the episode of like where you guys contributed the things you need to know. She told us about Osiris Rex, which is like this robot that went and landed on this comet, grabbed samples, and is bringing it back. Man, I was watching the news the other day, and they have this like robot in this room with people in these like crazy hazmat suits and all this, getting ready to open up this container. I don't even know if it's been opened yet. I need to do further research. It looks like something from like an alien movie, okay? Or Contagion. Like, can we not, like a part of me wants to be like, can you just send that back up? Like, what? Let's not bring aliens to Earth or diseases, or like, I just can envision like, I forget what movie it is. There's some alien movie, like they're going to open up this little robot. They're going to open up Osiris Rex. They're going to pull out that material that they collected from the comet. They're going to put it under a little microscope, and they're going to see little guys moving. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, we found life in space. And 2 weeks from now, those things are going to be human size. And in 4 weeks from now, they're going to be twice our size. And before you know it, they're going to take over Earth. Like, can we just send the robot back? Can we send it back to the comet? Okay. Osiris Rex is back. Stay tuned on your national news to see what's inside of it. I don't even know. Okay, those are the three things you need to know. So let's talk about health and wellness. Now that we're all terrified that our heart's going to get stuck at 400, the planet's going to be taken over by aliens. As long as you got your emotional support water bottle, you good, boo. You'll be fine. Okay, so health defined by the World Health Organization. Health is the physical, mental, and social well-being of a person. Okay. So 3 aspects there. And my therapist, who I adore when I'm working with her, she breaks it down for me in an even easier way to understand, in my opinion, which is mind, body, and soul. And health is balanced in 3 aspects, right? We're so familiar with body. And that's what we obsess over quite often. Like we were talking about on the last episode, we're obsessed with losing weight and getting healthy. Look, you want to be healthy, mind, body, soul. But I want to break down each piece and see if maybe I can offer some tips or inspire some thoughts and enlighten how we can create health on a whole level here through mind, body, and soul. So I think I'm going to kick it off with the easiest piece of this that we talked so much about already, which is body, right? Like you got to take care of your body. And although I hate the idea of obsessing over a number on the scale, you should still strive to be active and be healthy. But I think that to what Melissa and I were talking about on the last episode, let's be less fixed on a number on the scale and be more concerned with how we feel physically. Okay. So look, if you move your body every single day in some way, you're going to feel better. Exercise movement gives you energy. It's true. And I understand if you're tired or if you're not used to exercising or working out or movement, it's hard to get started. But I think to what Melissa and I were saying last week is just do something. You do not need to commit to running a marathon. Okay? You don't even have to commit to running around the block. Can you just go on a walk? Can you go to the driving range and hit some golf balls? Can you go bowling? Can you just move your body and get active in some way? And I think when it comes to fitness, starting and bringing in movement is the first step, and you have to find something you enjoy. Look, I love indoor cycling, clearly, and I teach my classes at Cycle Bar, and I think it's the best dang workout on the planet, obviously, right? Passionate about it. But if you don't like indoor cycling and you never will, then it's not the workout for you. And I respect that and I acknowledge that. And I don't want people who hate cycling to come to my class because they're going to do it a couple times and they're going to get over it and they're going to be like, I dread this, I don't like it, yada, yada. And then they're going to quit and they're like going to give up. I would rather you should find something that you love. And the cool thing is, and I think this is the coolest thing ever, is that we have so many options. There are so many options out there when it comes to moving your body. So yeah, you got your basics, right? Indoor cycling, you can run, you can walk, you can go to the gym, you can lift weights. We have like even some that we're pretty familiar with, like Zumba and kickboxing. But there's other things, like I got into pole fitness, like dancing on like a stripper pole. I mean, no, we didn't take our clothes off, but it was such a fun, unique way to move, to dance. Aerial fitness, I got into that for a little bit. That's like the Lyra hoop and silks, getting just to kind of dance and move like that. There are hip hop dance classes. There are boxing classes. There's yoga. There's Pilates. There's Legree. Like the options are truly endless. A new thing too I'm seeing now is like the climber machines where you like grab them and they climb to the beat. I mean, it's the fitness industry is constantly changing and evolving and developing and growing, and we're coming up with new fun ways to move your body. So try so many different things and then do what you love, or maybe you mix it up. Maybe it's just a little this, a little that. But for sustainability and that ability to like maintain and not tap out, not quit, you got to find something you enjoy. If you're dreading what you're doing, it's not for you. So, find something, explore. A lot of classes will let you do like a trial. And here's the other piece too with a trial. I think that you have to give some fitness avenues a couple tries, right? Because the first time it is going to be hard. The first time you are going to be sore, especially if you haven't been doing much, right? But know that you can always go at your own pace with any of these classes that you try out, you do. There's things like TRX class I was going to try where you use kind of this strap that hangs from the wall. There's just so many fun options. So get out there, try some different things, move your body, find something you love, even if it's a walk around the block. And it doesn't have to be huge and massive starting out. It's just bringing in that exercise. Take your dog out, take your child out, ride bikes. I'm not a super outdoorsy person. That's why I go more towards group fitness. But if that's your jam, go for it. So there's also the other piece of this, which is what we're eating. And what we're eating is crucial to our health and how we feel. Like if you feel like you don't have the energy to go on a walk around the block, you should check in with what you're eating. You don't even have to be defined as being overweight or obese or anything like that. Food in itself can really suck your energy out of you. So I know we hear this and we know this, but clean whole foods, lots of proteins, chicken, lean turkey if you're eating protein. If you're vegetarian, work with your doctor. Find ways to get that protein in. Fruits, veggies, complex carbs, clean food will make you feel better. When you feel better, you have the energy to exercise. It's amazing how it all works. Here's where I have to say, okay, but allow balance too. Because if you don't allow balance and you don't allow yourself to get a taste that crumble cookie and get that crumble cookie lineup, the lineup this week is clutch. If you don't allow that occasionally, you will burn out, you will quit, you will give up, and you will end up right back where you started. So you have to allow yourself to have some balance with that. Now, for me, where I saw the extreme end of this, which segues into mind, piece of our health and wellness is when you become so fixated and so obsessed that you allow no wiggle room, no days for errors, no day offs, that you end up crashing and burning and spiraling and mentally unwell. And then our health balance, our all around health and wellness is no longer present. So a couple years ago, I was trying to get really lean and really fit. I was actually in the process of auditioning for a reality show, which never came to fruition. It was going to be on ABC. It was going to be called Cheering Again. They were going to take cheerleaders from the 90s to the 2000s, get them back in the best shape of their life, and then have them compete for one final title on the mat and winning about $250,000, one of the teams to splits. Yep. Made it all the way to the finals before ABC pulled the show. And so preparing for that, I was trying to get really, really fit because I thought I was going to be on ABC, on primetime television. And I was like obsessing over, I worked with a dietitian, but I was giving myself no leeway in my diet. And I was working out so hard that eventually I started like missing periods. Sorry, men. But it was a big red flag to me that I was throwing my body off. Something was off. And I wasn't so lean that I just wasn't having one. But the stress of the entire situation was really messing up my body. And what ended up happening, the show got pulled and stuff like that, but I was trying to still maintain. It was like I lost control. And then I ended up gaining back all this weight that I lost. I mentally was very unwell, very unhappy with myself. And it was a hot mess that I like vowed to never get myself into again when it's related to physical health. So body and like what I'm eating and all the things. So this leads me to my next point, which is the balance in the mind, which is a really important piece of your health and your wellness, is what's going on in your head. If you are driving yourself mad trying to eat so freaking clean so that you can be stick thin or you can have that 6-pack of abs you've always dreamed for, but you're not mentally happy. This is back to what Melissa and I talked about. You're not well. You are not healthy at that point. There absolutely is a point that I believe, again, I'm not a medical professional, but just from my own personal experience and things that I've seen, where obsession with that strive for perfection, that strive to lose weight becomes unhealthy, that we are no longer mentally well. And so we have to take care of our mental wellness too. And this has been a big focus of mine for the last, I don't know, like maybe 5 years for sure since the pandemic, because I've really realized how bad I struggle with anxiety. I've talked about it a lot on this show, but my first panic attack I ever had, I was in college. I was dating a guy. He ended up cheating on me, and it just triggered this series of panic attacks. And they were bad, like where I would like be on the floor, crumbled up, like you got to take me to the ER. I can't breathe. I'm dying. So like very severe panic attacks. And at that time at 18, I didn't know what was going on. I mean, I literally thought I like had heart issues and I was dying and all these things, right? Because that's what anxiety does to your mind. So, and that was when I was like 18, and I've come a long way since then, but the pandemic really brought a lot of that back up for me. And I've shared that I take anxiety medicine, which is good, but also too, I think there are a lot of practices that you can implement into your life to help with mental well-being. And I know that I've certainly helped me. And so I talked to Calliope a lot about this, if you follow along with the shows, and she talked about depression, but I do work with a therapist kind of on and off, depending on where I'm at with the stages of my life. Sometimes I need her more than others, but, working with someone and having somebody to talk to, you don't have to be like forced to go see a therapist to go sign yourself up. You don't have to be in such a bad state that you're like, that's the only option. Like therapy is like super therapeutic. See what I did there. But it's really helpful to just like have an unbiased person just like listen to you go. For someone like me who has anxiety, like just to have somebody that I can just like lay it all out there to, where they're not giving me like their biased opinions or whatever, like it can be really helpful, especially if there are things you want to share that maybe you don't feel comfortable sharing with the people that you're closest to. Like I remember when I was struggling with this fear of death where I thought I was going to die, I didn't feel comfortable telling even my closest friends and family that, because it seemed like such a crazy thought to me that I just didn't want to share that. But it was really nice to then have my therapist to get to like talk through that with. So I think therapy is really a great option for people. But if you're like, hey, I'm not jumping into therapy right now, I think we've seen a lot more meditation and mindfulness. And there are some really great apps out there that can help with that. The Calm app is one I strongly recommend. It does cost money, but if you have it, you know it rocks, and you know Tamara rocks. She's one of the main women on the app who leads you through different meditations. But that app really helped me get through the pandemic. It really helped me when I ended up getting super sick with COVID. I was out for like 6 weeks, and I really, really struggled with basically like PTSD is what my therapist described it as, because it would just hit me so hard and out of nowhere. And using that app and listening through the meditations brought me a lot of peace and taught me how to really calm myself down to kind of check my mind out. So I know, Calliope and I too talked about this idea of visualization, like watching the clouds go by or watching the lily pads go by, and the meditation activities on this app can be really helpful for that too, and just kind of a distraction. And even like they've got like, if you struggle with like flight anxiety, they can like talk through that and everything. So it's a really cool app. There's a lot of free guided meditation on Spotify that you can check out. I'm sure there's some on Apple Music as well. So finding a way to meditate and breathe is really important. And then the third thing for taking care of the mind, which I've talked about numerous times, is setting boundaries and disconnecting. And this has also been a big part of my health and wellness journey, and taking care of my mind is finding time to disconnect as someone who is always on social, work, friends, chatting with them, all of the above. Finding time to disconnect and put the phone down, to mentally chill out, to set boundaries, with how much you can take on. I've shared too that I'm a yes person. So, to be able to say no has really helped my mental wellness, to just say, hey, I am at my max. Knowing how to set those boundaries and feeling comfortable sharing those boundaries with people in your life, whether it is coworkers or whether it is family or friends, can really help with the mental stability and not feeling like you're kind of losing it. So taking care of the mind just as important. And the last piece here is taking care of the soul. The soul is what I like to refer to it as. The World Health Organization explains it as social well-being. But however we want to look at this, I think it's how you fill your heart, right? Like, how are you finding the joy in the world, and what does that look like for you? And so for me, it's time with my family. It's chatting with my friends. I enjoy social media. So where there is a balance of disconnecting, I also love creating and putting out content. And that to me is a creative, fun, joyful outlet a lot of times. And so giving myself permission to play with that and to get creative fills my soul. I love listening to music. I enjoy playing music and sharing music with my friends. Another big piece of soul could be for you prayer, if you are religious, or what is your relationship with spirit like? And that's different for each person, right? But making sure that you're keeping that as a priority, as a pillar in your life, I think really contributes to that overall health and wellness. So, when we get so busy focusing on diet and exercise, and so busy, maybe even like trying to disconnect mentally, that we start shutting people out, we're missing a piece here. That social well-being, that soul. How are you filling your cup beyond the other two aspects here? So it's really about this balance that we create in our life that I truly believe creates the best health you can strive for. So 3 legs: mind, body, soul, and taking care of each piece. And that's going to look different for each person. But all of them are important truly to be healthy. And so spend time with this, and maybe you get to go back and reflect on these three pillars in your life, and maybe one is lacking. Maybe you do meditate, you're doing good, and maybe socially you're having a blast with your friends and your cup is full, but like you're physically not taking care of yourself, right? Diet and exercise is important. What you're eating, moving your body is important. Or maybe you've got a great exercise regimen and routine, you got a great friends, but you're stressed because you're working on all these things, and you're trying to do all the things with your family and your friends, and you want to be the best person at church, and you want to serve 7 days a week, but you're neglecting your mind. You're not balancing, you're not taking care of the mind and what's happening in your head. Or maybe, like I had mentioned before, you're working on the mind, you're working on the body, but you don't have time for friends, for family, for spirit, whatever that looks like for you, religion, whatever that looks like for you. So it's just about creating that really beautiful balance. I think that if you can implement and find ways to create something really cohesive, you can find optimum health. And that's what I hope for you. Not an expert here. Just lived a lot of life, had a lot of stress, focused on a lot of different things. And I truly feel like where I'm at right now in my life, I have some of the best balance that I've had in a long time. And it's taken a long way to get here. And the thing is, it's going to get imbalanced at some point. It always does. That's life. It's not always going to stay consistent, but it's recognizing when we're starting to get imbalanced with these aspects and then bringing it back in so we can kind of maintain that optimum health. So good luck to you. Oh, I got some really fun special guests coming up in the next couple weeks. So get excited for that. I hope you have a really great day. You deserve it.